The snowstorm had already swallowed the forest when the first scream was lost to the wind. By the time anyone might have heard it, the world had turned white and silent, burying not just sound, but truth itself. What lay beneath the frozen ground that night was not just a body fighting for breath, but a secret meant to stay hidden forever. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that loyalty can save lives, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone you care about, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this matter, and so do the people who hear them. Ethan Cole had learned long ago that silence could be louder than gunfire. As a retired combat veteran, silence once meant safety. Now, years after leaving the battlefield, it meant something else entirely: loneliness. The mountain town he lived near barely remembered his name, but they all knew his dog. Shadow, a scarred Belgian Malinois with one torn ear and eyes that missed nothing, had been Ethan's partner through war, injury, and the long road back to civilian life. Together, they walked the forest trails every morning, not for exercise, but for survival. The woods gave Ethan purpose when the world stopped asking for it. That morning, the storm had come early. Snow fell heavy and wet, muting the trees and turning the trail into a blank canvas. Ethan almost turned back. His knee ached from old shrapnel, and the cold cut deeper than it used to. But Shadow froze suddenly, muscles locked, nose buried in the snow. This wasn't the curious pause of a dog chasing a scent. This was alert. This was training. Ethan followed Shadow off the trail, sinking knee-deep with every step. The dog moved with urgency, circling one spot repeatedly, pawing at the snow. At first, Ethan thought it might be an animal trapped beneath the drift. Then he saw it, a patch of dark fabric barely visible under the white. As he brushed snow aside, a human face emerged. Pale. Frosted. Alive. The woman was buried up to her neck, snow packed so tight it looked intentional. Her lips were blue, eyes wide with terror, and duct tape sealed her mouth. Ethan's hands shook as he worked fast, tearing at the snow, ripping the tape free, fighting panic that clawed its way up his chest. Shadow stood guard, ears back, watching the tree lean as if expecting someone to return. The woman gasped like someone breaking the surface after drowning. Her breaths were shallow, ragged, but she was conscious. Ethan wrapped his jacket around her head and shoulders, shielding her from the wind while his mind raced. Who would do this? And why here? As he dug her out further, he noticed the badge pinned crookedly beneath her frozen jacket. She was a police officer. A female cop, alone, buried alive in the wilderness. Getting her out nearly broke him. Ethan's knee screamed with every movement, but adrenaline pushed him forward. He half carried, half dragged her back toward the trail, Shadow staying close, occasionally nudging her with his nose as if reminding her to keep breathing. By the time they reached Ethan's truck, the storm was thick enough to erase their tracks. At the hospital, doctors worked quickly, and police arrived just as fast. Questions filled the room, but Ethan stayed quiet, sitting in a corner with Shadow's head resting on his boot. He watched officers exchange looks that didn't sit right with him. Not relief. Not gratitude. Something tighter. Controlled. The woman survived. Her name was Officer Lena Hart. Hypothermic, dehydrated, but alive. And once she could speak, what she revealed sent shockwaves through the department. Lena hadn't been ambushed by a criminal. She had been silenced by her own investigation. For months, she had been quietly tracking evidence of corruption within the local police force, evidence tied to missing persons, falsified reports, and bribes connected to land deals in the surrounding mountains. The trail led to people she worked beside every day. When she tried to file an internal report, she was told to drop it. When she didn't, she was taken. The plan wasn't to kill her quickly. It was to let the cold do the work. No marks. No witnesses. Just another tragic disappearance blamed on the storm. But they hadn't counted on a retired vet and his loyal dog. As the investigation unfolded, Ethan was pulled back into a world he thought he'd left behind. Federal agents arrived. Phones were tapped. Arrests followed. Names no one expected made headlines. The town watched in disbelief as officers were led away in handcuffs. Years of lies unraveled because one woman refused to stay silent, and one man refused to turn back. Lena recovered slowly. Trauma lingered in her eyes even after the frostbite healed. She visited Ethan once before returning to duty, standing awkwardly at the edge of his porch, snow melting off her boots. Shadow sat between them, calm as ever. That moment didn't need words. Survival had bonded them in a way language never could. The town changed after that winter. Trust was harder to give, but truth had finally surfaced. A memorial was placed near the forest trail, not for the dead, but for the living. For the reminder that courage doesn't always wear a uniform, and heroes don't always come when you call. Sometimes, they walk quietly through the snow, guided by loyalty and instinct. Ethan never sought recognition. He went back to his walks, his silence, his healing. But something inside him had shifted. Saving Lena hadn't just saved her life, it had reminded him that his own still mattered. That the skills forged in war could still protect instead of destroy. That Shadow's loyalty wasn't just a relic of the past, but a force that still had purpose. And beneath the trees, where the snow once tried to bury the truth, the forest now stood as a witness. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that hope can come from the most unexpected places, please take a moment to like this video, share it, and subscribe. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Before the ending, we have one special request: comment below and tell us what loyalty means to you. Your words matter more than you know. Because sometimes, the world doesn't need louder voices. It needs braver hearts.